Great. Good to be here. So today I'm going to talk about streamlining CI/CD with just-in-time access. My name is Oded, and I'm here basically to help you save time. That's my goal in this presentation. I like to help you save time and effort. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Akeyless IO. So today I'm going to speak with you about the hassle of secrets and how long and how much time I spent on those. And I'm going to talk to you about just-in-time access, basically a good way of remanaging those kind of secrets and how we can save time with that and how to make it happen, obviously. Later we can talk about more benefits. Okay. So what secrets are? As you may know, there are credentials and tokens out there and passwords and API keys and lots of those credentials and access and certificates. And all of those are being created in one umbrella term called secret. Now, the problem with those secrets is that they are like a task that never ends up. Every time you need to create new one, you need to configure access permission to any other new resources that you have. You need to find any SSH private keys that went lost, and you need to replace or reset API keys. So you need to deal with those all the time, and more importantly, that you need to deal with them for every new resource that you are creating, like new database, new Linux server, new access to AWS IAM roles and things like this. So new application and new microservices. Everything new in your environment, you need to create a new access credentials, new certificates, and you need to issue them, and so on and so forth. Now, just-in-time access is an approach that basically says that number one, you don't need to mess with defining and creating those credentials. You never need to create on your own credentials and to provide it statically to any particular identity, either human or machine. So the default is that they do not have any access. No one has access, no identity in your network. Number two is that whenever an identity, again, either human or machine, would ask for access, whatever resource, then they will get that access ad hoc, dynamically, just by getting a new, fresh access token, new, fresh API key, new, fresh passwords or credentials to whatever they need, or a short-lived certificate for that sense. Now, the good thing about it that those secrets would expire automatically whenever they are not being used or after a period of time. That's the concept behind just-in-time access. So it's basically, it says no permanent access to anyone, and everything is being granted ad hoc. Now, let's see it step by step. So on what we see in front of you is basically three components. One is the client identity on the left. On the right, it would be the resource. In this example, the resource is a database. And there's a new component here related to the just-in-time concept that is called secrets producer. Okay, so let's go one by one. So on the first step, client identity, which again can be either human or application, would ask to access that database. But instead of approaching the database itself, it will approach the secrets producer. Now, the secrets producer will authenticate the client identity using whatever authentication method that is out there, either XAML, OpenID, AWS IAM role, Azure Identity, and so on and as such. And then it will go to the database and would ask to create a temporary credentials right now. After that, after those temporary credentials were created, then the client identity would receive from the secrets producer the temporary credentials themselves. And by that, client identity would be able to use those temporary credentials in order to access the database itself. So with that, the client identity did not have any permanent access permission, any root access, nothing on the database. And they were able to work on the database for a certain amount of time or certain tasks that they were asked. So the benefits here is that number one, nothing was done manually. Okay, the client itself, either application or human, did not need to go to you or to ask for your involvement, and it was all happen automatically. Number two, there is no requirement to perform the creation of the access per new resource. And I'll show you an example with SSH in a minute. But basically, for every new database or for every new Linux server or whatever resources that you're running there, any Kubernetes cluster and so on, you would not need to create a new provision. You would not need to provision anything new or to do anything on your side. Number three, in terms of benefits, is the hygiene, because using just-in-time access approach, it's not just that you are saving time, you're also having a very good picture of having clean resources from any access permissions, because they're also clean. So you'll also most probably save time with your audit and compliance, be able to show them that you don't have any access on a given time, rather than having only the one that are currently using it according to the temporary usage. So I'm going to demo that for you with an SSH access. This is the protocol, and I'll use another resource, not the database, rather than a Linux server. I'll use the client identity, which would be a human using Okta, so it won't be an application. I'll use it as myself logging in into a target server in order to operate an SSH access. And the secret itself would be a short-lived SSH certificate. Okay, so let me take you through one by one and share my screen with you. 2 seconds on that. Now you should be able to see my my terminal right now. So this is basically my laptop, and I would now try to open an SSH to that particular IP. Now, what I'm about to use right now, I'm not using any SSH key because I do not have any permanent on that particular server. I do not have any public key of my own private key. So I'm not using any private keys and public keys. The only thing that was configured on the target host whenever it was provisioned was a certificate authority of a certain A that currently is configured using Akeyless fault. But that certificate authority basically means that it will issue a certificate for at the minute that I would ask to log in the server. Now the authentication would be via Okta. Okay, let's go. I'm submitting this, and then immediately an Okta is being requested. So my Okta identity would be given right now. This is me. Again, human identity. And I'm signing in. Whenever the authentication process is taking place, then on the left side, what you see is an SSH certificate that was created successfully by using an external certificate authority, which is in this demonstration, again, the Akeyless fault certificate authority. And as you can see right now, I'm practically at the target host without even providing any SSH key, any private key whatsoever. So the SSH certificate that was given was a short-lived certificate that would expire in a minute. Everything that you see in front of you was configured, obviously, within the Akeyless vault. Now, just to let you see exactly how this was configured, this is the trusted user CA keys property, and this is exactly the content. So it redirects to the certificate authority. So let me go back to the presentation right now. So that was the demo basically, and for that, I would like to talk a little bit about how does it happen when you're looking at it in a large scale, because we talked about two use cases. We talked about database, so new credentials, new SQL credentials created. We talked about Linux servers, as I've just demonstrated right now. The same goes for Kubernetes clusters access. If you need to either to provide a secret to Kubernetes container, or you wish to have a just-in-time access to Kubernetes control. So it's not just the secrets within the Kubernetes secrets, within the containers themselves, but also to the administrative access of kubectl. Same goes for AWS IAM, and same goes for RabbitMQ, and those are just examples. So in order to make it happen, you would have to build a secrets producer that would be able to create that temporary credential, and those temporary credentials would be able to be provided from that producer to your entire CI/CD pipeline. And actually, it goes much, much further than just the CI/CD, rather than all the permissions out there and the access credentials that you're providing to your team members, to any other tasks, configuration management. You can do the same for Chef and Puppet and any configuration management tools that you're using. And the whole point for them is not to use permanent permission, So every change that you're doing within your ephemeral environment or your static environment, you would never need to manually create permissions and to provide it statically to whatever identities, rather than having all of it in dynamic manner. So thanks for your time. I was Oded, again, the CEO and co-founder of Akeyless. You are more than welcome to go to our website and to read on blogs. You can get that presentation and to click those. And I'll be happy to answer your questions within email or whatever you feel convenient with. Thank you very much, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.